It's our last episode of Anatomy of a Buff Dude, and we couldn't leave out the often forgotten calves and forearms. And although they're smaller muscle groups, they help to create that complete buff dude physique. So let's go over their function and the top 5 exercises to complete your journey into becoming a buff dude.
Come join us now for a look into functional strength with buff dudes from a time long ago. In the harsh winter environments, our Cavedude friends had to use both forearm extensors and flexors in order to create the fires of their survival. Using calf extension, his friends look on, curious as to what he's doing, and upon realizing his intention, are eager to help with explosive results.
We've come a long way since the days of cave dudes, and now we know much more how forearms and calves work. The calves are comprised of 2 muscles and are used in everyday activities such as standing, walking, running, and jumping. 4 things I hate doing. The first calf muscle is the gastrocnemius and is a 2-headed muscle, lateral and medial, that originates from the femur and inserts at the heel bone via the Achilles tendon. The second muscle is the soleus, which lies below the gastrocnemius and originates from the tibia and joins with the tendon of the gastrocnemius. The function of both the gastrocnemius and soleus is plantar flexion, but the soleus has another extraordinary function. It acts as a second heart, or peripheral heart, and in the standing position helps pump venous, deoxygenated blood back into the heart.
I will now show you what happens when we cut the Achilles tendon, and how important it is for the body's natural function.
Is that guy not in jail yet? Okay, moving on to the forearms. The forearms refer to the portion of the arm which is located in between the elbow and wrist. Comprised of 2 bones, the radius and ulna, which come together to make the radio-ulnar joint. The main components of muscles is the flexors, extensors, pronators, and supinators. The anterior flexing compartment is located on the palm side of the forearm and is used in flexion and pronation. The posterior or extensor compartment is comprised of 12 muscles and is used in extension of the wrist and digits and supination of the wrist.
I will now show you the function of the forearm. Finger curls. Contrary to the name, you're not actually building little tiny finger bicep peaks. You're working the forearm flexors. You're going to be starting in the seated position on a bench. You're going to be supporting the back of your forearms on the bench as you hold the barbell. You're going to be slowly letting the barbell roll down the fingertips to the very bottom position to get a nice stretch in the flexors of the forearm, and then slowly flex the forearms to curl the barbell up to the top position and get a nice contraction at the top. Really hitting those flexors. No other way of doing it. Now that's buff dude style right there. What's your favorite position? Mine's reverse barbell curls. It's an excellent forearms exercise. Starting in the standing position, you're going to be grabbing the barbell with an overhand grip, about shoulder width apart. Keep the elbows nice and tight to the body by rotating them out slightly so that the inner elbows are pointing forward the whole time. Contract the extensors of the forearm as well as the biceps to flex the elbow joint to the top position and then slowly let it down to the bottom position. Again, this is really working on the extensors of the forearms as well as the bicep. There is no such thing as a limp-wristed buff dude. Avoid becoming limp-wristed yourself by performing the forearm extensions. You're going to be starting in the kneeling position on one side of the bench, supporting your forearms on the bench. Grab the barbell about shoulder width grip in overhand position. Start with your wrists in the downward position. Once you have that position, you're going to extend upwards by flexing the extensors of the forearms to get the full squeeze at the top before letting them down to the bottom position. This is an excellent exercise to really isolate those extensors of the forearm, which has helped stabilize the wrists in the long run.
Well, shoot fire, it's time to mosey on over to the Buff Dude Ranch and raise ourselves some calves with the standing calf raises. Yeehaw!
You're going to be be starting this exercise in the same position as you would with squat. The barbell is going to be in the upper trap area. Once you unrack the weight, you're going to use plantar flexion to raise your heels all the way up to the top position to get a nice contraction of the gastrocnemius, and the soleus is going to be working this as well. Once you reach that top position, slowly let it down to the bottom position until your heels hit the floor. With the 3-position seated calf raise, we're going to be activating the buff dude's death blossom and hitting those calves from all angles. With this one, we're just utilizing a barbell to hold on your thighs. Starting in the seated position, the weight is going to be supported by the thighs. The balls of your feet are going to be elevated, so that way you're working in dorsiflexion at the starting position. You're going to be working in plantar flexion by raising the heels up, contracting the calves, getting a nice squeeze at the top before slowly let it down to the bottom position. In this one, we're working all different angles. We're going to start in neutral position with the toes pointing forward, then we're going to work with the toes pointing outward, and then we're going to switch up to the toes pointing inward, hitting all 3 angles. So that way you get both heads of the gastrocnemius as well as the soleus.
Forearms? You mean that muscle group you clowns work while watching douche bros sweat and booty popping dance moves? Well, get the lube ready, because I'm about to put these cats to work.
Ah, sweet, sweet Clementine. Well, time to put that forearm exercise video to work.